It's the Hot Rod Podcast with Ron Foreman and Brady Wright. We literally live, eat, and breathe cars. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today. Make sure that you hit the subscribe and the like button, mash the notifications on so that you'll know every time we put a new show together and bring it to you here on YouTube. Time to get going. Let's see what's happening this week. Hey, it's the Hot Rod Podcast with Ron Foreman and Brady Wright. And as usual, the show is brought to you by the Rat Bastards Car Club of Idaho and Washington and the Idaho Hot Rod Hall of Fame. More about those guys later. Tonight, we got kind of a cool thing. We're having a special guest. A guy by the name of Randy Mann is going to join us. And Randy, Ron knows this because he's a Facebook junkie. Randy is the owner of Buick Mann Photography. And he's taken a ton of pictures of all different kinds of cars, car shows, and things like that. You can find it on his Facebook page. And he's also got a podcast of his own called, are you ready? How Do You Hot Rod? And,
well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I intend to continue doing that. Anyway, Randy will be with us in a minute. We're going to stop for a word from the sponsor, and we'll be right back. The Hot Rod Podcast is sponsored by the Idaho Hot Rod Hall of Fame, a nonprofit organization that recognizes and rewards men and women who actively promote the hot rod community, clubs, and builders all over the state of Idaho. Every year we award a Hot Rodder of the Year, a Club of the Year, and a Young Rodder of the Year, as well as giving out scholarship money to students in the auto trades programs at local colleges. If you want to know more, or if you want to nominate an honoree, go to idahof.org or email us at idahof@gmail.com. That's Idahof, IDAHHOF.org, or again, idahof@gmail.com. Okay, a minute ago we were talking about our guest tonight. Our guest is Randy Mann, and welcome, Randy.
Welcome, Randy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yay. So as we said, Randy's got a photography business called Buick Mann Photography, and you can find it on Facebook. He does a lot of really cool car pictures. Also, he has his own podcast, one of our competitors. Ooh. It's called How Do You Hot Rod, and it's very cool. He's having a lot of fun with it, a lot of different kinds of stuff. And I think it kind of makes some sense to have him on our show for a couple of reasons. Number one, How Do You Hot Rod is kind of a catch-all of a lot of different kinds of stuff and a lot of different kinds of people. In fact, he's even scraped the bottom of the barrel and had me on as a guest. But we're kind of doing the same. We like building stuff, but we also like talking to other people in the hobby. So that's why we brought Randy on tonight. Ron Foreman is with me. Ron is a little under the weather tonight. He's contracted some dengue fever, beriberi Glaubner's disease. We don't know what he's got, but he may be a little quieter than usual. So we're going to get off and running. So Randy, you have several project cars we were talking about just a second ago, and your daily driver was a Plymouth?
Yes, completely stock 1950 Plymouth Special Deluxe.
Nice.
I kept the 6-volt system. When I lived in Spokane, I lived pretty close to downtown where they did cruise nights on Friday, Saturdays. And I would take it down, and I mean, it was stock, no radio, no turn signals. The only things that I really changed was I painted some yellow scallops and did a old school lace job on the hood.
I saw the scallops when I was over there, and you got to put a picture up. You have a couple, but if you put one up on your page, so people can see the lace. It's an old school lace job. It really looks nice. Not bad at all. But Thanks. My question to you is, how are you Buick Man if you're driving a Plymouth? I mean, come on, there's got to be more.
Okay, so long story short, my grandpa, when I was a little kid, now I'm not too tall now, but when I was a real little kid, I had, it just made such an impression on me. It was a 52 Buick Super that was that red, that polished red that looked like you could put your arm about that far through the paint.
Yep.
And with a black top, it was a 2-door. But like I said, long story short, it made an impression on me. And I've had a lot of Buicks since then. I've had as old as a 1919 Buick. Currently, there's a 22 Buick in the driveway as a yard art.
Yeah.
I've had a supercharged 97 Riviera. The most fun I had with one, I wish I could have kept it, was a 69 Buick Riviera that was a drag race car. I
Nice.
met the original owner and builder back in 70, or he, when he bought it back, brand new back then, and built it. Used to race at Spokane Raceway in Deer Park also. But yeah, 69 Riviera. Engine stuck out of the hood. It was amazing.
Nice. Well, being a fan of Buicks myself, people have heard the story. The first new car I remember, the first car I remember as a kid, was my dad's 50 Buick Special. I mean, it was just a wonderful piece of work, and it made the same impression. I know exactly how you feel. Well, when we have people on the show like this, we kind of like to ask some sort of fun questions. So you had a bunch of different cars, obviously everybody has, but what's the one dream car that you would build if money was no object?
To build, honestly, it's the one I still have, the 51 Buick.
Yeah?
I've had it for 10 years. I've drug it from place to place to place.
Cool.
It's lasted longer than many girlfriends. But that is the one that I would build.
Yeah.
As far as my dream car,
Yeah.
it is a 1982 Corvette. I've seen one. This is why. It was black with red interior, that kind of, I think, oxblood or whatever they called it.
Yep.
With mirror T-tops, the Kelsey Hayes wire wheels, and it just looked slick. That's all there was to it. Now, 82 was the last year of that body style vet.
Right.
I'm an 82 model also, so.
Nice segue.
Nice.
But I saw one time and it made an impression, and that's kind of that dream car. Now, Lamborghini, Ferrari, all that stuff would be great, but that one's always been on the list.
Nice.
I used to have
And
a
my
47.
grandpa's Buick. I got to see it for the first time in about 10 years this last spring.
The red one?
Huh?
The red one?
Yes.
Oh.
I have a picture of it behind me, and I can't say anything else about it, but I got to see it finally.
Nice.
Good for you.
Nice. Well, how about if, again, let's just play if money was no object,
Okay.
and you're building your dream car, who would you think about hiring to help you?
Oh. Myself.
Oh, come on.
Good answer. Good answer.
I don't know if it was one that I couldn't build myself and I had to have a shop do it. I probably either talk to Chip Booth or it's a hard one, really. I never thought about having somebody build a car.
That's if you won the
I
lottery,
have
you can afford it.
If I won the lotto, I mean, Chip Booth's Kindig, Dave Kindig,
Right?
or down at Counts Customs down there. Those guys do some amazing wild stuff, and that would be what I'd want. So one of those three.
That'd be good. It's always, I find it fascinating to talk to people about who their kind of, inspirations are. Even if you never met the guy, it's just like, I like this guy's work. I like his style. I like his attitude. For me, I'm not going to play that question, but I always wish that I had been, doing this a while back so that I could have hired Bill Hines to come, I mean,
now you start talking about that and you start talking about styles of cars, that he would do. I mean, of course, there's Alex Gambino down there in California.
Sure.
His lead sled style is amazing to me. I follow him online.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious, Gene Winfield would be.
Yeah.
He's at that age now where I don't think he's really doing the building much, but
no, he is still painting though.
I'm actually right there. I got to meet him recently.
Yeah.
And his signature's on that poster right there.
Yeah.
So
He's having a class. I think it's $550 for a week.
Yeah.
And, he'll put you up and then pay for that.
If I was down in California, I would go.
That would be something. Poor Ron, I feel bad for you, buddy. So I know that you've been doing this kind of thing for a long, long time. If you had to put a date, like when did you first get the car bug?
Well, I was something about, I grew up on a farm, so you were always working on stuff, fixing stuff,
Sure.
mostly, tractors and whatnot. But I drug home a 48 Chevy Coupe for $100. Actually, I think I traded a ton of hay at the time for it. Back when it was before I was even 15, so late 90s. I wasn't even driving legally yet, but farm, who cares? That's when I really kind of got into the old cars. That was the first one. I don't know if I own it or my dad does at this point, but it's still down on that farm in the same condition.
Yeah. Cool.
Whoever puts it on the road next will be the second owner, if I understand right. But that's probably about when I got into it. I went through my phases, with my age and my generation, with the import tuners, the Fast and Furious movies, the newer ones, not the original two from 39 and 54, but the newer ones that came out starting 01, big influence. So I got into that stuff, got into the Hondas.
Right.
I grew up on a farm, so off-road trucks all the time and stuff. I mean, I've always had that bug. I'm just a gearhead. The only things that never really got me were motorcycles and off-road like quads. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah.
Go ahead and plug your podcast. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. What's the deal with Howdy Hot Rod?
Well, first off, I don't know. I'm the age that I should understand what podcast and vlog and blog and all that stuff is, but the way I put it is I just do a show. And I do the show and I put it out on YouTube channel. And I hate technology, but I'm dealing with it when I have to. So as far as How Do You Hot Rod goes, I had this idea, close to a couple years ago, somewhere around early 2020, that it doesn't matter what you've got, whether it's a import or a classic car or a lowrider. Hot rodding is all about how somebody puts themselves into something. The original guys that did that back after World War II were taking a readily available cheap car, stripping it down, making it go fast.
Yep.
i.e. hot rodding.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and so this one kind of rubs people the wrong way, but if you think about it, these kids that are taking the imports that are cheap, I mean, there's a lot of them, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're light, they're stripping them down, lightening them up, and they make them go faster. Now, what part of that is not a hot rod?
It's exactly that.
Front wheel drive, I mean, there's a difference between the ones that have just a body kit on them or something, but the one that really got me thinking a while back was late 80s Honda Civic I saw at a car show. They had a Honda V6 put in it.
Right.
Pretty much the same year as the car. They didn't change the body. They kept it stock looking, but big engine, light car, go fast. Yeah. So,
Ron and I are both involved in the Rat Bastards Car Club, and it's what we say, and what makes perfect sense to us anyway, is we specify a year, 69 or older, but it's any car. It doesn't matter whether it's a rat rod or a hot rod or anything. If you've adjusted it, if you've made it your own, if you've built it in some way, hey, we would take a guy who had his, pre-69 tuner of some sort. Sure, bring it. If you got an old Opel Kadett or a Simca or something, and you want to clean it up and make a hot rod out of it, bring it. It's all good. There's so many definitions of what's a hot rod. I mean, how do you hot rod? Well, you take something and you make it lighter, and you make it faster, and you make it your own. That works for me.
And like I said, it applies to just about anything. So that's kind of the beauty of my show.
Sure
I've done, I've only done like 8 episodes, but I've done like a 60 Chevy Apache that was the guy that owned it was into rockabilly stuff.
Yeah.
I've done a 19, I can't remember offhand, old Ford Model A or T. Oh goodness, I'm going to sound horrible now. But I've done,
That year it'd be a T.
T. Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've done those. I've done a new Dodge Demon. So, I mean, but the guy that drove that Demon, well, he hasn't changed anything. And that was the one that was signed by Richard Rawlings, by the way. Well, the guy hasn't changed anything on it. He's out there burning the tires off of it, having a blast. Now, he's since sold it, but whatever. He's one of those guys that constantly has to have a new car, flip them, check them out.
But that's part of it. That's part of the deal. Who's kept
Exactly.
a car forever? I mean, occasionally you do find those, but you know what? We've all got stories of the ones that we used to have and we sold. And, I wish I had any number of, a dozen cars that I don't have any longer, because they were fun. But you know what? The next car was just as much fun. And in my case, the next motorcycle was just as much fun. And you do what speaks to you somehow.
A lot of the times that I sold a car or traded a car was to get something else that was fun.
Sure.
Or it was influenced by what's the next one I'm going to get?
Yep.
The list of cars I've had, by the way, or vehicles is longer than I've been alive years. So,
You mean there's more than 20 of them?
yeah.
Pardon me.
Ron's dying over there. Hey, Randy, listen. This has been really, really cool. I would love to talk longer. Our show is kind of getting to the end. But would you come back and be a guest another time?
Absolutely. I'd love it.
Maybe I'll be a little bit over the weather.
That's right. Ron will get past the weather. He'll be more weathered. He'll
Pretty weathered now.
like that
pretty
one.
weathered now. But yeah, so everybody's aware, but our guest has been Randy Mann. Randy's with Buick Mann Photography and How Do You Hot Rod. You can find them both on Facebook, and you should, because they're pretty cool. And we're going to take a quick break for a sponsor. We'll be back with the close of the show. Thanks for coming, Randy.
Nice to meet you,
Thanks
Randy.
for having me, guys. Ron?
You're into cars, you love a good time, and you'd rather build it than buy it. You just might love the Rat Bastards. We're a family-oriented nonprofit organization. We believe in 1969 and older, in the rough is enough, real steel and iron, old school, traditional hot rods and rat rods. We get together, have fun, help each other build, and cruise like crazy, because that's the way car clubs are supposed to be. The Rat Bastards are a new class of old school, and our signature event is the Infestation every July. We're charter sponsors of the Idaho Hot Rod Hall of Fame. Join us at cruise-ins all over Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, and the Inland Empire, or at our club in Seattle. We're on the Rat Bastards Car Club page on Facebook. Join us. That's it for this episode of the Hot Rod Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to our show, and we appreciate it if you smash those notification buttons too, so you'll know when a new one drops. For Ron Foreman, I'm Brady Wright. This has been the Hot Rod Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.